Hi, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm going to be speaking with you today on this video about 5 keys to rebuilding after an affair. Obviously, an affair is just a nightmare to find out your beloved spouse, the person you made the commitment of marriage to, has betrayed you. It's really the worst kind of nightmare, the worst kind of betrayal. But I have helped hundreds of couples to walk through healing their marriage after such a thing, and have gotten them to the point of not only salvaging the marriage, but rebuilding into something better than it was before, better than it's never been, and something that is pretty much affair-proof, you know, as time goes on into the future. The main key is understanding this amazing concept, the concept that differentiates family tree counseling from a lot of counseling perspectives, and that is there are no victims in marriage ever, even if your spouse cheats on you, period. I had a new couple come in last night, and she was pretty convinced that in her first marriage she was only a small portion of the blame, you know, was hers, and in her current marriage she's only taken a small portion. And I assured her that she was 50-50 in responsibility with these spouses. Thinking like a victim will destroy your marriage. It is cancer. Thinking like a victim is actually cancer to your marriage. So the reason why I say there are no victims in marriage is, of all the people on the planet, you went out and recruited this person. You recruited somebody who is well geared to hurt you in the most hurtful way possible. Every single person that I have ever worked with whose spouse has had an affair was abandoned by their parents or abandoned in some way during childhood. Did you get that? I have had situations where people have come in, they told me their spouse had an affair. I just start the session by saying, tell me about the parent who abandoned you. And they say, well, my dad died when I was 4, or my mom ran off with somebody from work when I was 6. That's the kind of feedback that I get. I had one family, a woman called me from another state, and her husband was having an affair. She was very upset, and I did her family tree, and I found out she was adopted, and she wasn't terribly close to her adoptive parents, and she had 2 siblings who were also adopted, and all 3 of them got married. All 3 of them, their spouses had affairs, and all 3 of them, their spouses left for the person that they had the affair with. Then one of them, very unwisely but very bravely, got married again. And the person they married ran off with their best friend. So there was 4 marriages, 4 affairs, 4 complete and utter abandonment. So I pointed out to this woman, that's not bad luck. That's a pattern. That is what happens. People who grow up with 0 abandonment in their childhood, their spouses don't have affairs. Because they pick people who know how to stay connected and who are not abandoners. But if you were abandoned as a child, you will pick somebody who's capable of betraying you in the worst way possible. So change how you think. Stephen Covey said the quickest way to help somebody is to change how they think. The second thing the second key is, if you play a victim role, it will destroy whatever chance that you had of saving your marriage. Most couples I work with where there's been an affair are able to work it out. I had one fella, his wife said, hey, I don't know, if I want to be in our marriage, can you move out and let me think about it? So he moved in with his parents, and then one day he called his house and there was this funny clicky noise, and he found out the phone was call forwarded to her boyfriend's house, where she really was. The house was sitting empty. She left him for this man, and originally this fella was just devastated. His mother and his sister dragged him into my office on an emergency basis from the doctor's office. They carried him in, as if off the field of battle, and plopped him in a chair, and he was crushed. But when he found out that he had picked this person, that there were patterns of telling lies, that there was a pattern of emotional cutoff, that there were secrets in his family of origin, there was abandonment and cutoff in his family of origin, he got it, and it made all the difference in the world. This guy, he literally told his ex, he said, listen, what I went through here was actually the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I've learned so much about myself. I've grown, I've pieced my life together, I'm dealing with my workaholism. It wasn't too very long until he got into a new relationship with a beautiful young woman who, I'm sure, has her fair share of issues, but I haven't heard from him, so I'm assuming things are going well. But he turned something crushing into a blessing. And he did it because he understood why he married who he married. And he knew he wasn't a victim, so he turned it into proactive victory in his life instead of depressing, whiny, angry, victim-y thinking. The third thing I want to stress is it's really natural to grovel and to cling to a betraying spouse, but it's exactly the wrong thing to do. So the third key to rebuilding after a marriage is you need to distance yourself. You need to have some integrity and some self-respect. I want you to get a book by Dr. James Dobson called Love Must Be Tough, and it will coach you on ways that you can back up. Your abandonment issues are going to want you to grovel and enmesh and over-pursue, which causes your spouse to then lose respect for you. But the thing that you should do is just back up and let them come to you, and Love Must Be Tough is a good resource to help you to be able to do it, because you're not going to want to do it, because you're going to want to grovel. The fourth thing is when it comes to affair recovery, you got to go to therapy. Both people have got to come to therapy. That's not negotiable. And separation is almost always necessary. There's such a violation when somebody, is sexual with somebody else outside the marriage. Sexual relationships are sacred. That's how God made them to be. And when that is betrayed, it hurts something very deep. And so part of that distancing is you violated our relationship. Go live with your parents. Go live with your brother. Go get a crappy apartment at Pickwick, and earn your way back into my heart, and earn your way back into this home. Earn your way back into the bedroom by being humble and broken and trustworthy and always telling the truth and being accountable and giving me the password to your phone and to your email address, and always being where you're supposed to be, and completely 100% cutting yourself off from the person that you had the affair with. The fourth key to recovering and rebuilding after an affair is, if you have two people who are able to do therapy, two people who are able to do the work, and I define that as both people are highly motivated to work on themselves because they see how broken they are. Both people are open-minded and open-hearted. Both people are feeling a lot of pain. Both people are able to trust the process of therapy, and both people follow through. They read books, they go to group therapy, they come to their couple sessions, they do the work. If someone were to ask me which population that I work with makes the most progress, it would be people who had affairs, because both of them are just completely undone with the level of emotional pain. And they're in so much emotional pain that they do the work. They do whatever it takes to fix themselves and hopefully to be able to fix the marriage. So divorce isn't the best option. The best option is both people doing the work, the person who was cheated on understanding that they were not victimized, the person who cheated dealing with either their relationship addiction, possibly a sexual addiction, or dealing with the marital problems where there were unmet needs, fixing that, addressing that. But you don't have to get divorced just because your spouse had an affair. If they're willing and able to do the work, then you need to look within your family background and find out, why did I pick this person? What skills were I lacking in the marriage when it comes to emotional intimacy that caused our marriage to be in danger of somebody having an affair? Own your 50%. If you own your 50% and your spouse owns their 50%, there's no reason in the world with excellent therapy why you can't rebuild and have a marriage that is so many times better than it was before the affair. I had a young couple probably 7 or 8 years ago. He had an affair. He was off out of town, and it doesn't make a difference why it happened, but he was sort of sought after by a woman, and he didn't protect himself enough, and he had this affair. But they both at the final session said, "Mark, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I wish it didn't happen, but it truly has been the best thing that's ever happened to our marriage, because we've healed wounds from our childhood. We've learned things about our marriage. We've developed communication skills. We've developed intimacy skills. And we have a solid marriage. We're still young. We have 2 children. And we wouldn't have been able to build that without the pain and the work and the therapy that came from this event of him having the affair." So there are keys to recovering from an affair, and we can help you work through your marital issues, affair-related or unaffair-related. You can reach us at familytreecounseling.com, or you can reach me directly by text or phone at 317-507-8866. Again, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling. Thanks for watching.